Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today and thank you for your support. Today I get to discuss one of my favorite golden age classical record labels of all time, and that's Decca London. I'm going to explain about Decca London. I'm going to go into some detail, but not a ton of detail, because with Decca London there is so many variations of labels and mastering engineers and series that it could get into the weeds, and that's not something I want to do in this video. This is an overview of several titles that I think will appeal to the widest audience, and especially to new classical listeners. But I do have some comparisons here, some different pressings to show you, and we'll get to all that in just a second. Before I get started, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider it. I'm trying to reach a certain goal by the end of the year. We're at 7,500, no, almost 8,000 now. So I would like to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. If you've been watching for a while, you like what I do, and you haven't thought about subscribing, just hit like, subscribe, and notification. It's the best way to support the channel, and I really appreciate it. There are a couple of things I wanted to discuss before we get into the individual titles. Decca was the main label and based in the UK. The recordings were done in the UK for the most part, and the American versions of the records are London records. So London was the distribution arm in America. They couldn't use the Decca name because it was already being used by another company. So they came out on the London label. And there was a myth floating around for years that, and it's been debunked since then, that the UK Deccas were superior sounding records than the Londons. And the Londons were like, you know, junk. Well, that's can't be further from the truth, and it has been debunked by Arthur Salvatore in his website I've mentioned before, High End Audio. I suggest you go there. I'll try to leave a link to the discussion about Decca versus London pressings. They are the same records pressed in the same plant. He's got proof there that someone sent him, and it's quite obvious to me that they are the same records with different labels. The matrix numbers look exactly the same. Everything is the same. So assuming you have the same matrix number and mastering engineer letter and so forth, you have the same record, just with a different label and oftentimes a different cover. One thing that I always laugh about is the UK covers have superior artwork, much more tasteful. The US pressings, especially the early bluebacks, sometimes came up with things like this, which is really weird. But they're charming in their way, and I'm going to show you some variations when I can. I have several pressings of these over the years. This one is the first record in the series. So it's CS 6001, Mendelssohn's Midsummer Night's Dream, Peter Mag and the London Symphony Orchestra. I remember picking this up. I was just starting to find London bluebacks and stuff back in the 80s, I guess. And I was like, oh my God, this is in beautiful condition. It was in a shop when I was on vacation. It wasn't a record store. It was like an audio repair shop that I went in, and just to see if he had any used equipment that was interesting. And he had a stack of records, and I started flipping through them, and I saw 4 of these full frequency stereophonic sound bluebacks. And I was like, I need to have these. So I asked him about it, and he was like, he hesitated. He was like, I don't know if I should sell those. I'm like, what? You're going to sell them. So he sold me these for a very good price. This one is pretty desirable. I didn't check the Discogs prices, but I remember it going for about $100 at some time. The original labels come with blueback, like this. That's why they're referred to as the blueback. This one is now there's so many label variations, I'm not going to get into that. This, I believe, is considered the wideband label. So I'll show you some close-ups of some of these things. They have FFSS on the logo at the top. So these are full frequency stereophonic sound. The Decca counterpart is black. It says Decca, but it looks pretty much the same. The mastering engineer letters, I don't know if I can read this in this light. I didn't really check it, but there'll be like a G or a W or an E. So there's a lot of information out there on these different mastering engineers. I particularly like the ones that have G. So that came a little bit later in the series. A lot of the reissues will have a G. I believe it's Ted Burkett who did those. So yeah, this was a great first choice for my blueback collection. And like I said, look at this cover. I'm like, what was the art department thinking? You know, like, I know it's a fantasy kind of story, Midsummer Night's Dream, but I'll show you the, if I can grab a picture off the internet, I'll show you the UK version. This is the budget reissue on Stereo Treasury. These look like this with an orange label. And sometimes they have silver print. The later ones have black print. I really like the later ones. They had better vinyl. This one is a 7G, 6G. So this is by my preferred mastering engineer. This one is the ORG by Bernie Grunman. This is the first 45 of this record. These are beautiful. These were reissued in a limited edition of 2,500. Several of the most popular ones sold out, and I think I have all those here to show you as well. As far as sound differences, I played these, and this is the issue here. The earliest copies of this, and this is pretty minty, or near minty, they have noisy vinyl, and I'm not talking about ticks and pops. They just have a high level of groove noise, and I guess there's some out there that don't, but the music overcomes this, but you do hear it in the quiet sections, and that is too bad because this sounds really good, and all of them do sound great. The masterings on all of these are really fine. If you find any of these, you'll be okay, but that takes away a little bit of the involvement of the record, this high level of groove noise. This one too, these silver label ones, the silver print ones, especially, there's like 3 or 4 variations, but the earliest ones are not on the best vinyl. So this one also had a lot of noise throughout the record. Bernie's pressed at RTI at 45 RPM is a whole different story, and I can highly recommend these. I know they're expensive, but they are really the best way to listen to this music. I really appreciate the quiet surfaces. The side breaks are not too bad, and they used the London artwork on these, and they put the blue back like this. They're really nicely done, very, very good. And this music is just beautiful, really accessible classical music for someone just starting to get into classical. Midsummer Night's Dream is a wonderful, wonderful record. A great, great title to start the series with. So the next one I'm going to show you is Falla, the Three-Cornered Hat by Ernest Ansermet and the Orchestre de la Suisse Romande. I have 2 pressings here. I think I have an original or a later London somewhere. I just couldn't locate it for this. But this is the Speaker's Corner edition. This shows you the original British artwork, and this is the American artwork. Both of these are spectacular. I loved the speaker's corner. I just played it a few minutes ago again, and it was everything I remember. Just beautiful, beautiful record. This is a really fun record for beginners in classical. It has wonderful percussion, exotic feeling to it with Spanish themes and some interesting vocal parts as well. Teresa Berganza is a soprano in this. She has a really interesting part as well. This is probably my favorite reading of this music. It's wonderful. Just a great record. If you can get the speaker's corner, do get it. It's really well done. The sound was excellent. This is the ORG, and this takes it a step further. Bernie Grunman again, 2,500 copies, 2x45, beautifully done by RTI. Sometimes when you're listening to something and you have a moment, one of those key audiophile moments. And I remember with this record, I had one of those. And it was when I first got my Magnaplaner 1.6 QR speakers. Oh my God. I had just gotten these records, these ORGs, and I played that first side on the Magnaplaners, and I was like, wow. I was just washed away with the beauty of sound on this record. The depth, the sound staging is spectacular. It is a record to die for, and I'll never forget that moment. It comes after the short introductory piece, after the soprano sings. There's a kind of a wave-like movement that just is so alluring and beautiful. Just a great record. This is easy recommendation for someone just getting into classical. A beautiful record. Search out other pressings. I will say, and I'm going to talk about this when I get to Suite Española. As far as Decca, as far as the London counterpart, so if you're searching for a less expensive version, London themselves had a couple of variations in labels. There's some that are called narrow bands. So they have, instead of the wide full frequency stereophonic sound label, they have a much narrower one. These were done on better vinyl, and they were done oftentimes by Ted Burkett. I think he was the G letter. Those are wonderful. And if you can find a later pressing, don't be shy because it's not a blueback. The blueback is going to get you some noise. So just be aware of that. Most of the bluebacks that are floating around in America have noisy vinyl. And the later pressings were done with improved equipment. Some people will say, okay, maybe it was transistor equipment versus tubes. True, but those later ones are wonderful, and you can often get them very, very cheap. So don't be afraid to get a later London pressing. Just avoid anything that was pressed in America. They will all say made in England on them, so if they're the same as the UK records. So this is a great record. Okay, you might be noticing a theme of Spanish music here. I love Spanish-influenced classical music, and the three-cornered hat is great for that, and this is another one. This is legendary, this record. This is actually the type of pressing that I was talking about. It's not a blueback. It's actually a cutout. It's got a notch cutout on it. But these were great. This is the narrowband label. So let me show you this. Like that. They tend to have like a raised surface for the label. If you see that, and I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah. If you see that raised surface, that indicates that they were pressed on better vinyl. In my experience, the vinyl looks blacker. It's Very, very quiet vinyl compound, and the mastering console must have been of better quality because these sound great. I put this on and I was like, oh my God, it's going to be hard for any of these to top this. This is great. If you can find this later pressing, do so. Let me see if I have the numbers on it. I just put late pressing. I believe it's 2G, 3G though. Pretty sure. This is the speaker's corner. So this looks exactly like a Decca original. Same thing. This is the wideband, so you saw the difference between that and the other. This is wonderful, just wonderful. You cannot go wrong with this speaker's corner pressing if you cannot find the cheaper original pressings. Wonderful. This is a stunning record, just full of wonderful melodies, exotic percussion, wonderful sound staging, deep bass, and thrilling performance. This is Argenta with the London Symphony Orchestra. Beautiful record, beautiful. And this is Bernie Grundmann's ORG, another thrill ride. Highly recommended if you can still find it. As I said, there was only 2,500 of these, so I'm glad I got them when I did. But España is an easy recommendation again for anyone just starting to get into classical music. The melodies are very accessible, and the music and playing is top notch. The engineering is fabulous. Great record. So I have one more here, and this is okay, let's put these in order. Suite Española. Suite Española. Suite Española. Suite Española. This one is unbelievable. This came a little later, CS 6581, so it's a later time in the history of Decca. But this is the London original. This is amazing. If you can find this, and it's very easy to find, it has a narrower band label. It just says stereophonic. This is a 2G, 3G, I think. Get it. If you've never owned a classical record before, get this one. This one is so much fun. Just beautiful sounds. Lovely performance. Exotic feeling, has that Spanish feeling to it. And this is the Burgos and the New Philharmonia. A beautiful record of Suite Española. This is one of the few original Deccas I have. Is this it, or is this it? No, this is it. Sorry. Yeah, this is a Decca. Cover's different, a little flimsy. Looks like that in the back. And this one is what they call a narrow band. Looks like that. This actually has the same matrix as the London, so they both sound identical. 2G, 3G, wonderful. So, that kind of showed me that Arthur Salvatore was right. These are the same records. Same mastering engineer, same pressing, same matrix, same plates, same record, same sound. And I found that to be the case here. This is I love this record so much. I have a few copies of it. I had to get the speaker's corner. Fabulous. This is highly recommended. Really brings out a little bit more sparkle to it, but the speaker's corner are very true to the originals, just giving them a little touch up to make them really sparkle, a little bit more extension here and at the bottom, and really highly recommended. I don't know if that's still available, but any of those speaker corner Decca reissues you should grab. This is Bernie's. I have it in, I'm going to take it out of this because I don't like this sleeve. This is the one piece, the one piece final storage solutions. I don't like those. It's like a diaper or something. This is probably the ultimate. It's at 45. There's an increase in dynamic range. The vinyl is extremely quiet. It's beautiful, just beautiful. The side brakes are great, you know, just in the right place. I love that too. But I love all of these. All four of these Sweet Espanolas are excellent. Any one can be recommended. I don't think there was a stereo treasury of this, and I wouldn't recommend that with these others so easily, well, especially the London, so easily available. That London is extremely good. So those are the four for the main part of the series. I wanted to discuss one other one. I'm going to grab it here. Okay. I'm not going to pull my original out, but another one that is an interesting one is this Mendelssohn Scotch Symphony. It was called Mendelssohn in Scotland when it was released on Decca. So I have an original London of this and these two. Now I read somewhere at some time that something happened to the tape at some point, and these reissues are made from a copy of a copy tape or something like that. I don't know if there's truth in that. I don't want to spread a rumor, but I remember reading that in a pretty definitive statement that the originals are the only ones done from that original tape. I'll leave that for you to go down that rabbit hole, but it doesn't matter. These do sound great and compare very favorably to the original that I have. This is an unusual one. This is done by Speaker's Corner, and they did a 4x45 set. This is really hard to find. It's so unusual. It comes in a slipcase like this, and it has like a wraparound like this, and all their classical titles here. And I forgot to mention that they use replicas of the original sleeves, which is neat. But these are single-sided discs, just blank on one side, just like classics. So they did this one that way, and it's really, really good, just like all of their stuff. This is Bernie's 2x45, also fabulous. This is a beautiful record and a great golden age recording that could easily have been included in this overview. But that is it for the Decca overview. As you can see, this has run 24 minutes without even getting deep into pressing and sound differences. But these are all wonderful titles that I could recommend to anybody that's just getting into classical. And if you are a big fan of classical already and you don't have these, you must get these. They're wonderful records, great recordings, and beautiful engineering. Just amazing engineering. I think I've given you enough information to go forward. I will be doing something on another label very soon, and I might get into some individual reviews of some of these as I have time. So until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.